Join me this October where I'll be celebrating Halloween. 31 zine reviews in 31 days. Joining me will be my friend Beanie. Welcome to another edition of Halloween. We are once again with Beanie. Beanie, how are you doing?
You?
I like you too. Let's get cracking on our latest review, which is Elegy of the Sapphire Adept, which is a Troika adventure by Exalted Funeral, published by Exalted Funeral. And once again, if you're not familiar with Troika, check it out. I'll put links to my interview with Danielle Sell in the description. And here's a copy of the Troika Numinous edition. And you can see, just kind of the style and evocative art. You've got backgrounds. They correspond with the somewhat weird world of Troika. So let's dig into Elegy of the Sapphire Adept. I'll say that I have not run it, but let's review it in that case. So let's do some credits here. We have the written by Ada Neymar, interior art by Rick Hershey at Fat Goblin Games. That's from their stock art, which I assume you could probably get at Drive-Thru RPG. Another interior artist is Evelyn Moreau, very familiar to the OSR world. Perplexing Ruins, once again, another artist very familiar to the OSR world. Gary Dupuis from Purple Dot Games. Cartography, Dice and Logos, once again, another very familiar name that everybody probably in the OSR world would have heard from. And then there's some other art from PNG Tree and some play testers from leading up to this. So it's a Ecstatic Entropy Games, Troika, and Exalted Funeral all working together to bring us this adventure. Let's read what the Sapphire Plague is about. Blue tendrils of blue plant with blue fruit have been snaking their way through Troika. These vines draw nutrients from metal, dissolving and digesting as they spread. This does nothing for the infrastructure and buildings of the city. The bizarre plant bears sapphire fruit that defy gravity as they grow. The fruit floats upwards from the vines and eventually breaks off, buoyed up in the air where they explode. A rain of sapphire seeds falls upon the city, taking root wherever they can find metal to ingest. Ironically, the fruit is quite delicious, although they induce painful flatulence in the eater. Panic reigns as nothing seems to slow down the onslaught of the thrice damned plant. You can tear it off the wall and burn it, no doubt, but it just keeps coming. A citywide investigation is underway, but no source can be found for the root of this problem. Buildings have begun to crumble and collapse. So what's the job? What's this adventure? You've received a commission from the Academy of Xenobotanical Exaltation to investigate the source of this vile vegetation. You've been introduced to Agatha Van Chiesen, the disheveled verdant viceroy of the Academy. You sign a contract guaranteeing 100 silver pence in payment per person if you succeed. You expect a briefing, an assignment, or some mandate regarding this job, but you are instead ushered down into the bowels of the building. Amidst the damn corridors and dripping pipes, Verdant Viceroy leads you to an unassuming door, under which blue vines slither. The vines form into a sinewy rope and plunge into a drainage grate in the floor. The hallway has clearly been assaulted with fire axes and all manner industrial hedge trimmers to no avail. Agatha opens the door and gestures to gently undulating sheets of orange light, a portal. Please destroy the source of the plant. We'll know you've succeeded when the roots die. You step through the planar boundary as the door slams shut behind you, bolt slamming home. So there's a mystery that this plant is coming and growing, and you cannot do anything to get rid of it. And you have now been thrown into a portal to fix it. And there's a bunch of folks that are part of the adventure. So let's just kind of quickly review them. The denizens, Alfred the Jubilant. Alfred is a man-sized head. He speaks via telepathy and is not jubilant. Bist the Brave. Bist was once a cosmic hero, a slayer of pestilent pulsars, and tranquilizer of rogue quasar hounds. He is now a torso of a rubberized stalk of flesh bound to the floor of the flaxen trough. The memories of his glorious deeds fade from his mind. Every waking moment is consumed by thoughts of escape. Cerise the Wise, there's some really good art in here, was once a Kingarian kangaroo. Her people unfortunately were destroyed in a Holocaust when nebular giants accidentally stepped on their sphere and shattered it. Lisbel the Guileless, French sculptor's original apprentice. Reginald the Righteous, paladin of Cadlemlemlem, the great god of law. Shrew the Destroyer, once again, very, very cool art. Once the High General of Kankari host, renowned for their relentless conquest of worlds. The Lesser Nuisances. So here's some things that might not be as big in play, but probably good things to fight and have as obstacles into your adventure. The Dire Donkeys. Intestinal Worm. A Nefarious Baron. A Whifflesuck. What everyone knows and what everyone wants. So, spoiler alert, and not that I haven't warned you yet, but I mean, all this stuff is kind of the background of what each of these NPCs want. I don't know if I want to. Let's not wreck that yet. But here's some facts to frame your adventure. Agatha will open the portal as soon as the vines die, as per her word. Forcibly removing the Sapphire Adept from the Azure pool and feedback loop will kill her and the vines. Alfred can use his mind powers to disconnect the Adept from the magical feedback loop and save her life. He can achieve this only by touching his massive forehead to hers. Another fact is, if the topaz that the Adept is connected to is destroyed, the feedback loop will be broken. The vines will stop growing. If the Adept is still part of the loop, she will die. The Flesh Sculptor's Abode, and here is a Dyson Logos design. As always, very, very cool, very well done. So we've got the entrance. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like a very small room. 8 is bigger room. And then 9 and 10. There's some random counters. Looks like a 1d8. And another 1d8 on this side. And that's if RE or RVE, depending on where you are, that's the random table for that. So that's good, because it's always nice to have a little bit of nuance to those random tables that, depending upon, especially if there's different factions or areas. Here's some descriptions of the map, the portal entry. Reginald's Murder Maze. That sounds fun. Twin piles of stinking refuse create a chicane at the entry. A single nefarious baron sits at its high chair behind the piles, barring entry. The Flesh Sculptor's Laboratory. The Flesh Sculptor's Laboratory and operating room remain precisely as it was during his life. Cerise's Menagerie. I'm having trouble with words today. The Flesh Sculptor was a patron of the arts, or at least he paid artists to paint his own creations. As such, the visage of each of the denizens once adorned the walls. The Ruby Reservoir. The roof of this large hexagonal chamber towers some 50 feet above the floor. In the center of the room, a very large marble pool is filled with a vicious red liquid. Blood? Tomato juice? Who knows? The Flaxen Trough. I'm probably saying that wrong, but I'll say trough. The marble floor bridges this immense room from north to south with a pair of stairways leading down into the lumpy morass. It looks like a gigantic bowl of creamed corn. It tastes like corn. The toilet. Oh, that's interesting. It contains a porcelain toilet and a very nice shower with running water. No longer provides privacy for the denizens' ablutions. That's one thing about Troika. They like their words, and tough to read live, but anyways, reading them is kind of fun. The surgical theater, gargantuan room, was the Flesh Sculptor surgical theater. He invited morbid guests from across the spheres to witness his experiments. The refuse pit, a black gate, covers the top of this huge hole. A horrific stank wafts from a decade of refuse, excrement, garbage, and debris. Alfred's room. This was once the Flesh Sculptor's bedroom. Now it is sparse, bare place where Alfred lives. The Zur pool, the grotto appears to be the only natural space in the abode, and the Zur pool is set into the rock of the craggy floor, glowing with a faint luminescence. Here's some treasure that you might encounter. A throwing star is shipped in a small 4-inch cube lead antimatter chamber, accompanied by a spectacular diamond bejeweled glove. When you wear the glove and throw the marble-sized star, nothing can stop it, ever. It is, of course, excruciatingly painful to be pierced by the star. If you succeed on a ranged throw attack against a foe with the star, it does 16 damage, no roll required. Chaos Lords know what other mischief you might Chaos Lords know what other mischief you might achieve with such a thing. A tiny dancer. Pop open the lid of its glass case, and 2-inch tall 11-legged being will emerge and begin to dance. Avert your eyes, of course, because anyone gazing into the impossibly beautiful creature will need to test their luck or be mesmerized and paralyzed for a minute. The unquenched cosmic brand. This tremendous great sword adds +1 damage to rolls when it strikes foes. Placing the sword in any liquid will cause it to boil. And finally, the Half Moon Mincer. This curved sword is infused with quantum uncertainty and adds +1 attack rolls when you strike with the mincer. There we go. Ecstatic Entropy Games by Exalted Funeral. It's a fun book, Troika adventure. Once again, if you haven't played Troika, check it out. There is a lesser free version I think you can get in PDF compared to the full version, but here's some backgrounds, some rules. Check it out. Elegy of the Sapphire Adept. And if you have not entered the Halloween contest, please do. You can be eligible for a $200 store credit from Exalted Funeral.